各位家長，首先正如阿 Tom 話事頭啦，非常之多謝你哋今日參加，因為我知道今日星期六喺香港嚟計，你哋係11點鐘啦。嗱，我就長話短説，因為我哋原則上咧，我哋希望大概1 hour 1個小時到。咁我先介紹一下，我哋今日咧非常之高興咧，我哋請到 Griffith University Professor Andrew Davey， 佢係 for Faculty of Health 嘅。佢係最主要就同大家介紹一下嗰個醫療嘅課程，唔同嘅醫療課程，包括可能嗰個收生標準啊，或者其他事情，亦都歡迎你哋快問問題嘅。但係 before Professor Andrew Davey 講之前咧，我哋亦都好高興請到Sherman 咧就係Griffith University 嗰個專門係負責香港嗰個招生嘅事嘅同事，咁佢會先介紹用10至15分鐘咧，先介紹下 Griffith University。因為 Griffith University 除咗 health 咧，佢係仲有好多嘅唔同嘅 faculty， 佢係一個 comprehensive university， 佢有超過5萬個學生同埋好多個 campus。咁詳細我交翻俾 Griffith 啦。Other than Sherman 咧，亦都有我哋 Jennifer 嘅同事咧，佢亦都係負責所有香港嗰個 application 嘅有關 Griffith 嘅 application 嘅，佢亦都會適當時候咧，大家如果問問題咧，佢亦都會為大家解答。咁我哋今日原則上咧，我哋係用英文嘅，因為Andrew 咧佢係用英文係講嘅。咁但係大家如果需要我哋作出去解釋翻英文咧，亦都可以好似阿 Tom 咁頭先話，你就可以打一個 question mark 或者打一個想問嘅嘢，我哋就可以幫大家去解決。咁 other than that 嘅時候咧，你哋如果係 individually 獨立想第日再約Professor Davey 或者阿 Sherman 或者 Jennifer 再傾嘅時候咧，你哋可以留低個 message 俾阿 Tom 或者俾我哋咧，我哋亦都可以係安排另外一個Zoom 啊或者另外一個 WhatsApp 嘅 video 同大家去傾嘅。咁更有咧，我就想同大家講講咧，我哋喺 YouTube， 我哋 City Smart 個 YouTube channel 咧係有好多介紹唔同嘅 subjects、唔同嘅科目嘅 video， 你哋大家可以上去嘅。咁最後咧，我想講就話，今日所有嘅同學或者家長咧，我哋 City Smart 咧係提供免費嘅 study plan 幫你如果你有咩想我哋提供一個 study plan 俾你嚟澳洲升學嘅咧，你可以聯絡我哋，我哋就可以同你免費做一個 study plan 啦。好啦，我而家唔講咁多啦，我交翻俾Sherman 去介紹一下 Griffith University。Okay, Sherman, could you mind to share some information about Griffith, please?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everyone. Nice to see everyone online. I know it's quite a difficult time, but it's happy to be here. So as Tony introduced, I'll give a quick introduction about Griffith University. Then I'll hand over to my colleague from Health Department to give you more information about health programs. So first of all, Griffith University, sorry. Okay, some background noise. Okay, all good?
Yep.
Okay. So Griffith University is a public university funded by Queensland government during early 70s. So we're quite a relatively young, but we achieved quite remarkably in the last 40 plus years. So we so far have 5 campuses, plus a digital campus, of course. We grew from 400 students when we started. Now it's almost more than 40,000 students. We have about 7,000 more international students coming from 130 countries. But you can see the ratio is quite healthy. It's about 18%, more or less. So it gives you quite a diverse culture and language environment for you to study on campus. So you can learn and improve your English language better than probably some other universities. We are quite a comprehensive university. We offer 200 plus programs across all different discipline areas. We have 4 major academic groups. The first one is arts, education, law, and the second one is business school. Then we also have a science, engineering, including IT, those courses. Then the last but not definitely the least is the health department. That's what my colleague, Professor Andrew Davey, comes from. As I said, we have 5 campuses across Queensland. We don't have any campus outside Queensland. So we started from Nathan campus, then we all the way comes down from Brisbane to Gold Coast City. So the largest one now is the Gold Coast campus, and near the CBD of Brisbane City, we have a South Bank campus. That campus hosts our arts, film, music school, all these programs over there. And also Logan is a smaller campus between Brisbane and Gold Coast. As most people know, lifestyle in Queensland is quite nice, quite relaxed. We offer that perfect balance. So you can enjoy the subtropical weather. It's a quite internationalized city. You can see on the picture, it's a beautiful place. So Brisbane City, that's where our City Smart office is located, right across on a riverbank. It's quite a nice place. Gold Coast City at the bottom, the picture shows the beautiful coastline of city. On Gold Coast, we hosted the Commonwealth Games in 2018. And in 10 years' time, we host our Olympic Games in Brisbane and Queensland. So it's quite a nice event for us to welcome all the international people, including students. As I mentioned, Griffith has now the biggest campus on Gold Coast. Gold Coast hosts most of our health programs. So the picture itself shows probably the most expensive faculty building, the health school. We host almost 20,000 students. Lots of facilities are very new. We upgraded lots of teaching facilities in the last several years, including the new business building and health building, as I showed on the picture. So one of the key benefits, if you now study on Gold Coast campus, is because Gold Coast City is now the regional city classified by the Australian government a couple of years ago. What does that mean to you is if you study a degree from our Gold Coast campus, you will get one additional year as a post-study work visa. So it's called a PSW visa. So if you study, for example, a bachelor, you get 3 years. If you study a master program, you get 4 years. So that's one additional year. You don't get it this if you study in Brisbane or Sydney, Melbourne City, CBD campus. And of course, if you want to settle in Australia after you finish your study in future, you will get the additional points because of that regional policy. Nathan campus, as I said, is the oldest, our larger campus as well still. It's on top of the hill. We have lots of programs offered on that campus as well, including business, IT, and some of the health programs, and aviation, if you're interested in flying, and some other biotech, IT, science programs. Southbank, yeah, as I said, I host the arts, film, media, communications programs. Other two campuses are smaller campus, so I won't talk too much about it. This picture shows our location of the Gold Coast campus. You can see it's quite a massive area, and we are next door to the Gold Coast University Hospital, which is the highlight of the city's future development plan, because as you can imagine, many of health program students will have the practical learning and placements in their hospital right next door. And it's also quite close to the CBD area. We call it Southport CBD in Gold Coast. You can catch the tram or catch a bus or even cycle to this campus if you live on Southbank area. So more pictures showing the Brisbane campus. Again, it's all the convenient location if you study on one of the campus there. Ranking-wise, Griffith is a relatively young university, but we are quite ambitious, and we achieved a remarkable ranking in the last few decades. So we're quite consistently ranked around 200, 300 areas between that range. So the latest ranking showing us quite a good ranking around the 200, 300 mark. In terms of subject rankings, you'll be pleased to know we have quite a top ranked program, subject ranking in Australia and globally. So the first one on a picture, you can see nursing, for example, midwifery, we rank #2 globally and #1 in Australia in some recent rankings. And hospitality and tourism management is always ranked #1 in Australia for so many years, and followed by marine science, engineering, and sports related programs. So sports, you could include also, for example, exercise science, sports science, those programs as well. So more rankings on the chat, you can see we're actually quite diversified. So many program subjects we ranked quite highly. So that shows they are truly comprehensive and a remarkable university, I would say. So this is a nice picture to show again, our beautiful Gold Coast campus. So just imagine yourself live in this nice area. You go to a classroom to study every day. You have a really nice, relaxing lifestyle balance. This picture was showing you because within the area highlighted in a box, it's the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. This area is probably we call it the future Silicon area, Silicon Valley for Gold Coast City. You will create so many jobs. You will fundamentally provide lots of not just the research and study opportunities, but also for future works. It's probably the next major project. City Council invest a lot of money into it. So if you study on our campus at Griffith University, you probably have jobs waiting for you before you even graduate because there's a major development. Again, showing more picture of our beautiful Gold Coast campus. This is the business building, nice swimming pool. My office is right next door. Not many people have that kind of working condition, I would say. But if you're a student, you can enjoy one of these favorite moments of each semester or quarter trimester. You have a free movie night during the orientation week in the pool. So the public transport, we have this very convenient tram system called a G-Link. We have 2 stops on the campus connecting between Gold Coast City all the way to our campus, and even you can catch the connecting train system all the way to Brisbane and Brisbane Airport. So more pictures showing the campus, the facility and teaching facilities. This is the trading room. We have the real stock share market terminal. You can practice, even make some real money out of this exercise or student project. One of the highlight feature we have at Griffith is we have the trimester mode. You can have 3 intakes for some programs if they offer. So that means you have 3 opportunities to start your degree. You can even potentially finish earlier because of the trimester mode. So trimester 1 is normally in March, 2 normally in July, the trimester 3 normally in October. It's worth mentioning only the trimester 1 and 2 are compulsory for international students. You don't have to study at trimester 3, but you can if you choose to. If you study, for example, all 3 trimester a year, you can finish a 3 years degree in 2 years, in 2 calendar years. That's one of the flexibility we offer here. Cost of living, we're relatively inexpensive than other states. Normally 20,000 Australian dollars a year, you can live quite comfortably. In Queensland, this table shows some of the breakdown of the living cost. And Queensland, we are the only state right now in Australia offering student discount for public transport. Scholarship, I'm sure many of you might be interested in this. This year and next year, we're gonna offer those scholarships. You only need to meet this GPA requirement, and then you automatically get these scholarships for the whole duration of your study. So for example, if you achieve Hong Kong DSE this year 17 or plus, you'll get 20% off of your undergrad study. And during the undergrad study program, you need to maintain the GPA. Otherwise, you'll lose it. There's no application required. You automatically get it if you have the satisfactory GPA. So these 2 scholarships, 20 or 25% off of the tuition fee. The next level of scholarship is up to 50% off. Again, it requires a GPA cutoff. For example, Hong Kong DSE, you need a minimum 20. But this scholarship, you have to apply. You need to submit a statement, I believe, according to your transcript, everything. Then the panel will review your application for each trimester. So there's a deadline applied for each trimester intake. And I believe our Professor Andrew Davey is a part of the panel to review those scholarships. So if you have any question or you want some tip how to prepare application, do talk to him after this. Okay, I might stop there and hand over to Professor Andrew Davey to talk about a bit more the health programs.
Thanks, Sherman. Okay, Andrew, could you mind to introduce some of health program to the students and parents, please?
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully my screen is sharing okay.
Yes, very good.
Okay. So thank you everybody for joining us today. My name is Andrew Davey. I'm Director International for the Health Group. I am an academic. I was formerly the head of pharmacy here, and I've been teaching students for many, many years, as well as working in the international role. And I have very good experience of Hong Kong and working with Hong Kong universities and schools. Why might you be considering health? There's a number of reasons why students in my experience think about health. Some of them have been doing some chemistry and biology and sciences at high school and see health as an opportunity to apply what they've learned there. Other students are more interested in helping people. Maybe they've seen some sickness, some relatives or friends, and they want to help them. Others may have a more sort of business policy sort of drive. So lots of different reasons why people might think about a health career, and none of them are bad reasons. But certainly one of the more popular reasons is the employment outcomes. The table that I'm showing here is the results of the graduate survey that is sent to all graduates in Australia 4 months after they graduate. And what I've done, I've listed the top 5 areas, undergraduate and postgraduate, in terms of getting a job within 4 months of graduation. What we see, and this is very consistent, is rehabilitation. So that's things like occupational therapy, physiotherapy, those sorts of areas, always there in the top 5. Dentistry, pharmacy, medicine, and education as well. So very, very strong presence from health. Undergraduate, a postgraduate is the same story. Pharmacy, rehab, physio, OT, those areas. Vet science, medicine, dentistry. So if you study a health degree, you've got a very good chance of entering employment very quickly after that degree. And if you've studied for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, obviously that's something that you want. You don't want to be hanging around waiting to get your first job. You also tend to find over time that health graduates continue to have the best employment outcomes. So a really key driver for people to think about a health degree. That data is always out of date. It's always sort of a year or 2 out of date while the government collates the data. You might be thinking about graduating in a few years' time and asking quite rightly if the careers and the jobs market will still be the same. The fact is it will actually have improved from where it is today. What we project, looking at this chart, is very strong jobs growth in the healthcare and social assistance sector. So the bigger the bar, the more jobs we expect to be created. This is Australian data, but it does reflect what's happening around the world. Just in there is professional, scientific and technical services, and that covers, of course, some of our health science degrees like medical laboratory science, biomedical science, pharmacology, those sorts of areas. So when you graduate in a few years' time, you will expect to be in very, very strong demand. Where is the industry growth? And I think this is a question that students sometimes ask, and Sherman's mentioned our regional status, certainly on the Gold Coast. And people think because we're a regional university, there's not strong jobs growth in the area. If we look at this data, the reverse is actually true. The Gold Coast is right up there in terms of jobs growth, as is Brisbane South as well. So only parts of Melbourne and parts of are stronger than the Gold Coast, and only parts of Melbourne and parts of Sydney are stronger than Brisbane. The only place on the top of that list that has regional status is the Gold Coast. So if you are thinking about studying somewhere with regional status and want to be in an environment with really strong jobs growth, then really you need to be on the Gold Coast. This is the same data set that's just been restructured. We can see other regions in Australia growing at about 5 or 6% a year. The Gold Coast, 14%. So more than double the industry growth that we expect across Australia. And the areas where we are growing here on the Gold Coast are healthcare and social assistance, education and training, and accommodation and food services. And Sherman mentioned that we're number one in Australia and always in the top 5 for tourism and hospitality. So very strong areas of jobs growth. Why is that important to you? And Sherman mentioned post-study work rights and the opportunity to get some experience after work. But also, if you look at the proximity to the Gold Coast Hospital, that industry park that Sherman mentioned, which is actually much more advanced in his slides, what that means is that people from the industry, the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the physiotherapists, the biomedical scientists are right next to the campus. So they're having an influence and teaching into the campus. You as students have access to those people there. There's a whole range of things to do with curriculum and employability and work integrated learning that ensures that when you graduate, you have the networks and the skills to have a very, very successful career. So it's not just about that post-study work job. It's about how that whole environment influences your learning and your career trajectory. So it's a really important thing to think about when you're deciding where to study. Thinking about the future, the data I have shown so far talks about the next few years. The next 10, 20, 30 years, the duration of your career is going to be dominated by an aging population in the world. What we see here in the 1950s, very few people over 60 years old. In the 2050s, there'll be a lot of the population over 60 and a lot over 80. What does that mean for you, considering studying a health degree? It means several things. It means the healthcare needs of society across the world are going to become more complicated. It will drive demand for health professionals. It will also change the way health professionals work. So you will be very much part of a team. Whatever pathway you choose, you'll be an important part of that team. And what I won't talk about today is there'll be a drive for new technologies, new innovations, different models of care. And so that makes it a really, really exciting time to be part of this healthcare team. And we're probably all fed up of hearing about COVID after 2.5 years, but I've used it as an example of how the different healthcare professions come together as a team. I think maybe at the end of this year, I might change it to cancer or dementia or diabetes or something. The point is, it really doesn't matter which major healthcare challenge we think about. We need a team of health professionals to work together. So our biomedical scientists have been developing the vaccinations. Medical laboratory scientists have come to the forefront in doing the testing. And I know from some work I did with some Hong Kong universities a few weeks ago, there's massive shortages of medical laboratory scientists in Hong Kong, as there is in Australia, really big shortages in that area. Pharmacologists looking for a cure. Our nurses, doctors, pharmacists, delivering patient care to people that are sick. Our paramedicine graduates, driving the ambulance, getting them to hospital. And allied health, so that includes physiotherapy, OT, nutrition and dietetics, exercise physiology, maybe making sure people are healthy so they're not susceptible to the disease or helping them recover. Psychology and counseling has been important because people in isolation trying to influence behaviors like hand washing and social distancing and overcoming anxiety about the future. And because there's been a major economic impact, which has affected what society, our social work graduates, human services graduates are in high demand. Public health. So many people probably haven't heard about public health a few years ago, but definitely involved working for the World Health Organization, governments, hospital authorities, schools, anywhere where there's people putting in interventions to try and stop the spread of this disease. And our health service management graduates who are coordinating all of that and putting it together and trying to make sure they've got the right workforce and so on. Earlier, I also said people have different motivations for studying health. These people in the top right were probably all good at chemistry and biology at school and really keen to do that. The ones along the bottom were probably okay at their chemistry and biology, but motivated by helping people. These people at the top left, actually their social science is more important than chemistry and biology. So if you're somebody who's, doesn't like chemistry, but you want to be involved in health, there's a whole range of professions that will enable you to do that. So you don't have to study chemistry to be a health professional. So you've got a lot of choices in terms of where you might go. Talking about choices, whether you've studied social work or nursing or physiotherapy or OT or medical laboratory science or pharmacy like me, there's many, many career pathways that you can go on. People tend to think if I study a health degree, I've got a certain job afterwards. That's not the case. Whichever degree you choose, you might end up in research and development. You may end up working for government. You may be in clinical trials, out in the community, in aged care, and we've already mentioned that's a big sector. Biomedical devices, in hospitals, in schools, in the military, private practice. A lot of health practitioners work for themselves, they're self-employed. Sales and marketing, working within industry, within academia, and many, many, many more. And within my career, I've worked in all of these sectors except the military, but we definitely have people who I've taught who've gone on to work in the military. So whatever health degree you choose, you can really go into many, many different areas. I won't talk about this slide. Sherman's already covered the slide very well. I will talk about some of our clinics a little bit later, and a lot of that clinical work happens within this G40 building that Sherman mentioned. Okay, so Sherman's covered some of this already, but when he spoke about the rankings, but we are #2 in the world for nursing and midwifery in the Shanghai World Rankings. Sports, Sherman's mentioned, but all of our health and allied health degrees are ranked somewhere in the top 300. So that's a really, really useful for you to know, to have the confidence that whichever area you go into, or even if you change your mind and change your discipline, we are pretty well ranked across the board within health. But more important, to be honest, the rankings are usually based on research. More important, we are very, very advanced in teaching and learning. We're a very student-centered university, and we put a lot of investment into ensuring that students have great outcomes. This slide shows some of the activities that we have within the health group. We do a lot of work integrated learning and clinical placements, which I'll mention later. A lot of simulation. So some of these are virtual simulations. So you can work either in a room or on a device or with the totally immersive goggles, doing simulations in a virtual world to enable you to practice in a safe area certain skills and knowledge that you need. Physical simulations as well. You can see our dental students practicing before they go into our clinics. Nursing, medical students, as part of an interprofessional team, there's probably students from different disciplines working in here. Same with our paramedicine students, physiotherapy students, and so on, all working on simulations. And a lot of problem-based learning. It's not just people giving you lectures like I am today. You're actually involved in problem solving, and all of this starts to come together to enhance your work readiness. The clinics, we run many of our own clinics. We have a 96-chair dental clinic downstairs where our dental hygienists, dental technologists, dental students all work together, treating real patients, often that are referred to us by the hospital. Physiotherapy and OT clinics, again downstairs, and at Nathan, where our students treat members of the public. Nutrition and dietetic, social work clinics, psychology, many professions. The students practice in our own clinics before they go out into the real world under close supervision of the academics. And then when, in the later years, when they've developed a lot of those skills through our simulations in the clinics, they go out onto placements. So health students do nearly 300,000 days of placements every year. So that's a massive investment that we make in making sure that you get the experience and the skills so that when you graduate, you're really work ready. Obviously, the Gold Coast University Hospital on the campus is a major partner, but we have many partners that we use, both within Queensland, Australia, and internationally. Part of my job in the non-COVID times is helping people find international placements. In terms of our entry standards, I assume most of you have got your DSE results. Some may have done IB or A level, or you're waiting for those results. We have many different programs. I've listed the more popular ones here, but anything from a 16 aggregate score in your best 5 subjects up to 24 will enable you to get into different programs. Medical science is a guaranteed entry into pathway into medicine. So that's why that is popular, and also dentistry is very competitive. But any of these programs will be good pre-med programs as well. Physiotherapy, I know, is very popular within Hong Kong. So you would need a 23 for physiotherapy. And occupational therapy, similarly, is very good. And these last year, I mentioned, had the best employment outcomes. So 21 there. Medical laboratory science, very popular, growing rapidly. The good news with medical laboratory science is the IELTS has just changed. So it's gone down from a 7 to a 6.5. So of all of our programs, that's one of the easiest to get in terms of English. The other good news with that program, it's got dual accreditation. It's accredited by the Institute of Biomedical Sciences. So that's a global accreditation, as well as the Australian Institute of Medical Sciences. So it's very rare that you find a MedLab science program that gives you both the Australian and international recognition, particularly with the IELTS of 6.5. Social work is rapidly growing, and nursing is one of our more popular degrees. But any of these programs will set you up really well for a really interesting career. And I always advise students and their parents to choose one where you've got a passion, because then you will be successful. Postgraduates, Doctor of Medicine. So you can apply to the Doctor of Medicine with any degree. So you need a very good GPA, a GAMSAT, and an interview, unless you went on our guaranteed pathway. Master of Social Work, very popular, as is Public Health, Health Services Management, and Pharmacy. Research as well, we can discuss if anybody's interested in a research career. I mentioned a lot employability. Just a note at the end that employability is more than just study. It's about having a really rounded CV. We provide a lot of training around employability. And one of the key messages is to develop skills outside of the classroom. So leadership, teamwork, resilience, communication. So getting involved in university life or other clubs and societies, or some part-time work, not too much, but enough to help you develop that CV is actually really important. And just as a note, the number 2 in this picture is me. Well, it was me before I came to Griffith about 10 years ago. So just some key points before we move into some question and answers. If you're interested in science or even social science, business management, there may well be a health degree there for you. Very high demand for people in health and medical science degrees, and that is only going to grow in the mid and the long term. So, the job opportunities really are second to none. And the good thing, I think, is the variety of careers. So you can move into different areas throughout your life journey. We are the biggest and most comprehensive health faculty in Australia. And we also are very, very advanced in those areas of teaching, interprofessional learning, simulations, work integrated learning. And as we mentioned, we've got very high industry growth, 3 to 4 year post-study work rights, and the climate and the lifestyle that Sherman spoke about. So hopefully that is helpful to you. I'm happy to take any questions. I'll stop sharing now and hand back over to Tony at Sigismund.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Professor David. OK， 各位同學同埋家長，你哋有冇咩問題想問咧？你就隨時可以留 message 俾我哋。咁喺呢度嘅時候咧，就我想補充少少咧，就話其實Griffith 頭先阿 Sherman 講到嗰3個trimester 啦，即係話 Griffith 咧1年咧係 provide 最多係3個學期嘅。咁呢個係咩嘅道理咧？就話我哋正常嚟計咧，1年咧就係2個學期嘅。咁就我哋正常嘅 intake 係2月同埋7月，我哋都有唔同嘅 subject 都有 offer 係可以開課嘅。而3個學期嘅意思咧，譬如好似我哋普通嘅 degree， 譬如一個 business degree 咧，係需要讀3年，即係6個學期咧。你如果3個學期咧，你就可以2年，你就可以畢業㗎啦。呢個就係嗰個基本上嗰個唔同，就可以喺 Griffith 咧，你就可以提早去完成你嗰個degree 嘅。呢個就有3個學期嗰個同一般2個學期嗰個分別咯。嗱，有咩 question 你哋隨便問啦。就佢Professor David 同埋阿 Sherman 同埋 Jennifer 咧係樂意同你哋解答任何嘅問題嘅。有冇咩問題啊？各位？阿 Tom， 你香港嗰邊有咩問題想問啊？
好啊，其實有同學咧就問開就話即係睇睇嗰個學費嗰方面咧，會唔會好貴咯？即係讀 health 嗰啲。
Okay, Sherman and Jennifer, do you want to answer about the tuition fee average in the health faculty?
Yeah, I can talk about it. In general, Griffiths programs tuition fee are quite reasonable, and I think will be roughly slightly below the average price, I believe most Australian university offer nowadays. For example, the nursing program, each year our tuition fee right now is about $33,500 a year.
So it's a lot expensive compared with some other university in Australia, yeah.
Certainly, because I know most other universities, especially the GOAs, they probably now require 40 or 40+ thousand Australian dollars a year. So we're still way below that mark. And even for some of the other programs, I think it's about $33,000 to $35,000 a year, the range. Of course, medicine, dentistry, those programs are a bit more expensive. But in general, I think our tuition fee are quite competitive comparing to many other providers. So your total, you probably look at it, for example, if you studied nursing plus the living cost, you're looking at about 55,000 a year, Australian dollars. Right.
Okay. Thanks, Sherman. Okay. Tom, do you have
before you take the scholarship off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
Andrew? Yeah. 仲有個問題嘅，因為有啲同學咧就驚自己嘅英文咧個entry requirement 唔夠咧，咁但係咪有啲英文班可以讀咧？因為好似話有啲科目係冇英文班 provide 噶嘛，咁佢哋有啲咩途徑可以入翻去咧？
Okay, Sherman and Jennifer, could you mind to explain a little bit more about the package program, like the English or even if the DSE results is not good enough to direct entry to the bachelor degree, is there any other opportunity for them?
Yes, glad you asked. As a Griffith University, we provide a lot of pathway programs for English or academic purpose. So if, for example, if your Hong Kong DSE is lower than 4, which is enough to meet our entry requirement 6.5 standard programs, then you will be given an opportunity to package a English called a direct pathway, direct English program into the degree. Normally, if you are half band lower for the IELTS equivalent result, you will be required to study about 10 weeks of English before you start a degree. 10 weeks English normally is about I think it's about 3,000 to 4,000 for 10 weeks English. So that's about the estimation for the English duration fee, duration for your English study. And if you don't have IELTS, you can also take our online GALE, we call it Griffith English Language Institute. So GALE online tests, online placement test. They will determine your English program duration. So yes, we definitely provide us a packaged English pathway, as well as academic. For example, some of the Hong Kong DSE students, if you cannot meet the entry requirement Andrew just showed you, for example, the 16 for nursing, if you achieve, say, 12 or 10, you can still try to apply for that diploma pathway into the degree. Diploma is offered by Griffith College. So it's academic pathway and gives you the opportunity to get into a degree if you cannot get into year 1 degree directly.
Okay, thanks, Sherman. A student want to ask a question
yes.
about the message. You can, do you consider the student not study chemistry and biology before for nursing program? Sherman?
Yeah, I can answer that. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. I just look at the Bachelor of Nursing degree page. It doesn't require chemistry or bio subject, right? From their high school study.
Not necessarily. It's be a little bit of assumed knowledge. It'd be helpful, but it's not an absolute requirement.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned and often mention, probably more important than chemistry is having good interpersonal skills and those sorts of skills when you're dealing with patients. So a little bit of science is helpful, but it's not absolutely required. They will teach you in first year anyway.
Okay, thanks, Sherman and Andrew. 嗱喺度我想補充少少俾各位同學同家長。頭先Sherman talk about 嗰個，如果啲英文搣唔到嘅時候，可以 study 英文Griffith College 嘅 English course 啦。咁其實咧大部分 Griffith 嘅 Bachelor degree 咧，佢都係認可 DSE 嗰個英文嘅成績嘅。Basically 咧，如果好多嘅 subjects 咧。你嗰個 DSE 攞到4分咧，你就唔需要提供 IL 㗎啦。咁所以咧就大家可以留意一下，同埋同我哋香港同事 double check with 你嗰個 DSE 嘅成績。咁另外 other than IL 咧，其實除咗另外 Griffith 頭先Sherman 有 mention 到 Griffith 自己有嗰個 test 啦，其實你嗰個 TOEFL 啦，同埋 PTE Pearson 嗰個English result 佢哋都係 recognize 嘅。OK。
係頭先有同學咧，有兩位同學都有問過相類似嘅問題，一個就阿 Chloe， 一個就 Nick Wong 啦。咁佢哋問就話，譬如阿 Chloe 佢講咧就話，如果佢係冇剔到 physics 嘅或者 bio 嘅，咁喺當佢去 study 嘅physiotherapy 或者 OT 嘅時候咧，即係會唔會比較困難，同埋係咪真係可以直接入到去咧咁樣
？Sherman, you understand the Cantonese?
I saw the student asking a question about
okay.
already. So,
yeah.
Andrew, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, just the chat room. You see, the chat room.
That was the occupational therapy versus physiotherapy.
Yep.
Look, the employment opportunities for both are excellent and will grow. in terms of numbers of jobs, I wouldn't want to sort of compare them. What you need to consider is the nature of the work that happens afterwards. So, you know, the physiotherapy, you may well be, you know, treating injuries or possibly working with sports teams that are working within hospitals, you know, to treat people and help rehabilitate them. With occupational therapy, you may be doing some of that, but often you might be working with industry and working in businesses to make sure that people can rehabilitate back to work, or you might be working in people's houses to make sure that you know, they're able to operate within their house. You know, if they have a disability and so on. So in terms of absolute employment, I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever. You probably just need to think, what is the type of work that would suit me, and choose from there. Because both of them are growth industries. And we saw right at the start that it was the number one within Australia for graduates getting jobs. So there's absolutely no issue for either, and they will both continue to grow for the reasons that I explained earlier, particularly that aging population.
Thanks, Andrew. OK， 各位同學同家長，仲有冇咩其他問題？乜嘢都可以問啊！我諗佢哋樂意答你哋嘅問題㗎。
有個同學咧，阿 Tim Wong 咧喺個 chat room 嗰度有打到出嚟嘅，佢意思話嗰個 physiotherapy 同埋vice 嗰個occupational therapy 咧 ，which one is a better employment opportunity in Australia？ 即係邊一個會做？即係
Andrew, compare with
I thought I just answered that question.
Yep.
Andrew, just
I might have a question for Andrew, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Could I ask a question? Sorry, Andrew, to put you on the spot. You know, I know many students now are more interested in the Master of Social Work nowadays, right? And many students don't have the relevant required background.
Yeah.
And I heard recently it's possible for students to study that graduate certificate in human services online for one trimester, then try to get into the Master of Social Work. Is it a possible option?
It's possible, but it depends a little bit on your background. So for the Master of Social Work, they require a related degree, so the social sciences type degree, and with at least 1 year's worth of social sciences courses. So if you studied something like, I don't know, psychology, but you didn't quite have enough social sciences courses, you could do that graduate certificate to pick up some courses, and they could actually then be accredited into the Master of Social Sciences. And if you've got a bachelor's degree in accounting and there's been no social sciences in there, then no, you can't. And the reason is one, it's an accreditation requirement, but secondly, the school finds that the people with the right background actually have better career outcomes. So they don't want to set people up to fail. They want to make sure people are going to be strong. So the answer is sort of half and half. If you're a near miss, then it will help. But if you're nowhere near, then no, it won't.
Thank you. So is this sort of a potential option for students had some relevant background, but but someone who doesn't have anything at all, maybe still not a good option. But it could be an attractive option because that degree, the program is only one trimester. And it's delivered online. I think there might be a useful pathway option for students from Hong Kong nowadays, especially the COVID situation, before they can study social work on campus later.
Plus, I think at least 3 of those courses you then get credited for the degree.
Exactly.
So the money that you invest and maybe some of the time you actually get back when you enter the degree.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I can see another student asking about the physio.
Physio, because it's Cory 阿 Cory 我可以開咗你個咪，你想唔想自己問阿 Andrew 或者係Sherman？ Chloe? Okay.
I think
Yes,
that's okay.
yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Chloe, ask your question.
I want to ask that if I do not take either bio or physics in my secondary school, would it be too hard or hard to follow if I choose to study occupational therapy or physiotherapy? Thank you.
Look, if you're a good student, so you haven't taken physics or bio, but if you're intelligent and you're a good student, have you done any maths or chemistry?
Chloe, do you have maths?
Yes, I do
Chemistry?
take maths and chemistry.
Yeah. Look, I think you will be fine. We do start in first year giving foundational courses for our degrees that enable students to build on that. We don't have hard prerequisites. We have some assumed knowledge. But if you've got reasonable maths, I think you would probably do okay with the physics. And with the chemistry, you can do okay with the biology. It's more important that, if you've got the grades to get in there, you're probably good enough to get through because it's one of those higher. And then it's partly the communication skills, and obviously your English is fine, but it's those interpersonal skills as well. So I don't think it would be too hard because we do give that training in first year. And if you've got the scores to get in, you're good enough to get through anyway.
OK， 係阿 Chloe 啊，想話聲你聽咧，其實咧譬如如果好似你話齋想去study physiotherapy 或者 OT 咧，如果你真係有啲科目咧，即係prerequisite 嘅科目係冇咗咧，其實可以係預先你去讀一啲網上嘅 program 嘅，因為佢哋澳洲本身有一啲institute 咧係有個 online program 係愛嚟俾你補修翻呢啲科目嘅，通常都係用4個月嘅時間可以補修一科。譬如你係冇咗 bio 嘅或者係 physics 嘅，咁你可以揀一個 online program 嚟讀，讀完之後咧就變咗可以 qualify 到嗰個 entry 去嗰個 physio 或者係 OT 咯。係
啊，可以。如果你想知道呢方面嘅資料，可以問阿 Tom 啊 ，Tom 可以提供俾你哋嘅。
係，另外咧就各位家長同學，咁我啱啱咧就已經喺個 chat room 嗰度咧就打咗上去嗰個QR code 啊，因為我哋喺 YouTube channel 裏邊咧有好多唔同嘅 video 係之前同啲學校有啲 seminar presentation， 同埋今次呢個seminar 咧亦都係錄影咗嘅。咁稍後咧我哋會將成段嘅 seminar 咧就會放翻上 YouTube 嘅。咁你可以喺 chat room 裏邊咧就 click 翻嗰個 QR code， 直接入到去我哋嗰個 City Smart 嘅 YouTube channel 嘅。咁另外咧，我哋亦都打咗我哋公司嗰個 email address 同埋個聯絡電話嘅。因為如果你話想之前阿 Tony 羅生講就話有個免費嘅 study plan 咧，係幫你去揾資料啦，同埋唔同嘅科目、唔同嘅學校咧，你就可以聯絡我哋可以免費幫你做嘅。咁你睇翻喺 chat room 裏邊攞翻嗰啲資料就可以啦。Tony 你嗰邊點啊？有冇啲咩想講？
冇啊，我非常之好。今日如果各位同學仲有咩問題咧，而家可以繼續啦。如果唔係嘅時候，你遲啲，如果你遲啲再有問題，你可以聯絡阿 Tom 或者大家聯絡我都可以。咁我哋樂意同你哋喺 WhatsApp 嗰度傾啦，或者 arrange 啊 Professor Andrew Davy 再或者 Sherman 再 another 嘅一個 WhatsApp video 或者 Zoom video 咧，俾你哋直接問問題都可以嘅。咁你哋就大家知道夾好時間就 OK 㗎啦。同埋你其他，因為今日時間就唔係好多啦，有關嗰個 living 啦，因為我自己本身喺澳洲啦嚇。咁就有關喺澳洲個 living 啊、accommodation 啊或者其他嗰啲嘢咧，歡迎你哋可以聯絡我哋，我哋可以提供更加多嘅信息，譬如話嗰個本身喺澳洲個情況啊、天氣啊等等，你都可以聯絡我哋嘅。咁啊，我知道今日只就短嘅時間，或者你哋有啲問題咧唔記得問啊，或者點樣都會重複一次，你遲啲可以 send 翻俾我哋嘅。我哋遲啲可以問翻Professor Andrew Davy 同埋阿 Sherman 咧，佢哋嗰個頭先嗰個 PowerPoint 咧係可以 send 到俾我哋咧，我哋就可以擺埋喺嗰個你哋如果需要嘅時候可以聯絡 Tom 咧，我哋可以 send 翻嗰個 PowerPoint 嘅 file 俾你哋，我哋可以你亦都可以透過 PowerPoint 知道更加多嘅嘢咯。O 唔 OK 啊？
咁另外咧，各位家長同學，我哋下個星期六咧，同一個樣嘅時間咧，亦都有另外一個 Zoom 嘅，係關於engineering 啊、IT 啊咁樣。如果有興趣都可以問我哋攞條 link， kick 入嚟 join 嘅。
OK， Andrew and Sherman and Jennifer, do you have any other thing you want to remind the student and parents?
I might just quickly add one thing. I know many of you probably still considering study options in Australia or other countries, but it's worth mentioning all those professional programs we offer at Griffiths for health, for example, nursing or occupational therapies or physio, social work, pharmacy, medical laboratory science, all those things. They are all professionally accredited programs in Australia. So it doesn't matter where you study in Australia, as long as the programs are accredited by the national bodies or national professional organization, you will get the same qualification to enter the job market in Australia.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
OK， 阿 Tom， 如果再冇咩問題咧，我都唔想耽誤幾位 guest 嘅時間。咁啊，我哋你麻煩你繼續同嗰啲同學同家長保持聯絡，如果有咩嘅 send 俾我哋啦，好嘛？咁就
多謝各位家長、各位同學，今日 join 我哋呢個 Zoom， 咁就再有問題可以聯絡我哋。咁多謝晒各位。Thank you Andrew, thank you Jennifer and Sherman.
Thank you Tom, thank you Tony, Irene, thank you Andrew.